Hello, this is IP Stories by 4IP Council, a podcast about innovation and intellectual property. Join us and you'll hear about the journeys through invention, creation, and IP understanding of our guests.
I'm Marta.
And I'm Fernanda, and today we have invited to have a chat with us Jorge Vizcaya. Jorge, thank you so much for having this chat with us. First of all, could you tell us more about yourself and your career?
Okay, thank you very much, Marta and Fernanda. So, my name is Jorge Vizcaya. I was born in 1980, the year Magic Johnson's Lakers won their first NBA championship. So, I stand 1.84, more or less, husband, father of a girl and a boy, and I am architect. Okay, and I'm a little bit weirdo. I'm crazy, very crazy about the stadiums. While my friends went out, I spent a lot of time at home drawing stadiums and analyzing the stadiums. So that is my story, a short story, but it's mine.
I love it when you have a career path that it was like so clear from such an early age.
Yes, I must say that I don't like sport too much, but
Really.
but I do like a lot stadiums.
And what was the experience like the first time that you actually walked into a stadium?
Oh, in fact, I remember that day. It was in 1989, May 1989. Okay, I was 9 years old. It was a match. It was in Bilbao Stadium, San Mamés Stadium. I went with my father. My father took me there, and the main two things I remember a lot. There are three things, in fact, but the main two: one, the deep smell of fresh cut grass.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the second one is the electrifying atmosphere coming from the stands. And the third one is the smell of cigars. At
Of course, at that time, yeah.
that time, all the stadium was a mix of grass and cigars. So it was strange. But I remember very well that day because it was a match, a game between the local team, was Athletic Club, my club, and our eternal opponents, which is Real Madrid. Okay, and the game ended 1-1. Okay, so little did I know at that time in 1989 that exactly 30 years later, 2019, we will be sitting down in front of Real Madrid to present this system. So
The system. No, the first time that you walk into a stadium is so electrifying. It's
of
something
course.
very special. So yeah, actually, let's talk a little bit about the system because I heard your talk at LESI. That's how we met, and I found it fascinating the way you explained about this patented design, Hypogea.
Hmm.
It's pronounced like that, right? Hypogea.
Yes.
And the way it solves so many challenges for the stadiums like the Bernabeu.
Hmm.
So I think it would be great if you could very briefly explain it to our audience how it works.
Yes. So uh, I'm architect, but I work for SENER, which is an engineering company, multidisciplinary engineering company with offices worldwide. So we have been involved in many projects for tackling all engineering fields. One of them is architecture, and inside architecture, we have spent many hours developing projects for stadiums, some interesting stadiums, but most of those projects were standard, uh, plain vanilla. Okay, so just going straightforward to say, okay, build up the stadium, make the structure, make the distribution, make the MEPs. So regular. Any engineering company in the world can do that. Okay. In addition to this, during the last 10 years, we realized that the market of the stadiums is changing a lot. The old stadiums only focus on providing a building to host uh, football games, only that. I think that story is finished, and the stadiums are being transformed from just stadiums into um, real multi-purpose venue. At this point, we realized that the main key thing is the what happened with the grass, the natural grass. So there are two main points: the retractable roof, and the second one is anything to protect the grass, or at least remove the grass to let the stadiums host big events apart from sport games. So around, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 2017, 2018, we are start thinking about this potential opportunity, how to remove a grass. But at the market at that time could provide many some products, just more or less just simple, to move the whole pitch from the central part of the stadium outside the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But all those projects were designed and conceived by with the stadium itself. This is the stadium is new, and the stadium is considering this system. Okay, but what happened with the rest stadiums? All those stadiums that are there that have been built during the last 5, 10, 20 years. Uh, so we put the focus on these kind of stadiums. Okay,
And also, I must say that this is a solution that I don't think would work with a stadium like Bernabeu because it's in the center of the city, right? Like
that's
you
the
don't
reason.
have.
This is the reason for those stadiums that are already built, are already dead there, and you know you cannot demolish a stand to let the pitch pass through, uh, or there is no space around the stadium to move the pitch, or there is no intention to occupy this space because it's very expensive. Okay, so in this regard, we put the focus on these stadiums and provide them with a system uh, that lets the stadium host events. So in this regard, our system, we can say that it's only occupies only the footprint of the pitch. We go down to an underground and growth chamber. We put the pitch with the natural grass in this chamber to control and keep the grass there under perfect conditions during long periods of time, enable the stadium to host many events, big events apart for the games, sport games throughout the year. In fact, the intention is to have the pitch always inside there and only put the pitch set for football or rugby or whatever in his football position on game days.
Yeah, I think it's such a cool solution, and also like the I remember when you were explaining it that you were saying how like the technology behind to make sure that the conditions of the grass and
Mhm.
that like the technicians and could go in there, could check that the grass was fine, that everything was sort of like keeping there in the right conditions. It's as well huge.
Yes, you are right. You are right. This is important. This is we are working with a living being, which is grass, and it's very important to let the greenkeepers and gardeners enter that chamber anytime throughout the year. Okay, and not only the greenkeepers, it's equipment as well. Okay, so independent accessibility, and at the end of the day, that chamber is not just a chamber; it's like a laboratory because it is provided with the most up-to-date technology on agronomics. This is ventilation, air conditioning, UV treatment, grow lighting, irrigation, fertigation, treatment with CO2, monitoring with all kind of cameras, thermal cameras, multispectral cameras. So at the end, it's like the NASA it's like a NASA project put underground in the soil of Madrid, okay, in the ground of Madrid.
This is so interesting. Every time I go to an event, a concert in a stadium, I wonder the grass must be ruined after this. Even if they put like panels on top, I'm like, the grass must be ruined. How do they do it? I always wonder that.
This is the reason that the majority of the stadiums in the world only host one or even a couple of concerts a year. This is the gap between the seasons, so between one year game and the other. You have a couple of months at the most to host these events. The first concert of the new era of Santiago Bernabéu Stadium was uh, the end of April. okay, more or less 1 month ago. Uh, in this month of May, more or less, the stadium has hosted at least 5 concerts.
Wow.
One is 2 days concert for Taylor Swift. If we go to this month of May, per every hour the stadium has been used for football, has been used 5 hours for other big events. So
Mm,
at this, in this regard, as I said before, this world is changing. I think that probably we need to rename these kind of buildings. They are not the stadiums. Probably now they are multi-purpose venues or multifunctional venues. One of the events is just football, but there are many other events. And probably next year the NFL is coming to Madrid. The UFC, no, it's for sure. The UFC probably will come, and the NBA probably in 2026, not considering expos, not considering many other kind of events that should be implemented. That so imagine it could be an engine for the city center of Madrid. Okay? Probably not city center of Madrid, Western Europe, I could say.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally agree. But we need to consider and take into account that we are very used to being in concert, 1 day concert. But this moment of history says that I think the most profitable thing is to make 5 days concert. I was in Los Angeles last September, just 1 week after Beyonce uh, was at SoFi Stadium in a 5 day concert. Sorry, 5 day, no, 4 days, 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. That way. Imagine 100,000 people by 4 days. Imagine. They are demanding these 5 days concert like Beyonce, like Taylor Swift, like this one. More spectacular, more events, more everything. Okay, fireworks. Okay, I think this is the market at the market in this moment. Okay, and probably this is coming from the United States. It's arriving in the United Kingdom, and now it's arriving to the rest of Europe.
So, could you tell us what is the process like to come up with a solution like this one?
It's a tough job because it's a very complicated project. It is a project integrating all engineering fields. Okay, being civil works, architecture, MEPs, mechanisms, control, and even we need to include also agronomics, which is not very common for engineering. So at the end of the day, we have a lot of people with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of expertise on the table, collaborating very closely to make this building or this system real. Okay, so this is the most, from my point of view, uh, the most interesting thing of this project. And this is one of the strengths of companies like SENER in this case, with many people, very skilled people, at the service of any kind of interesting project like this.
And I was wondering, is intellectual property something important at SENER?
Yes, this is very important. As I said before, we have many different engineering fields or branches. So when you are working with in the military area or space, aerospace or industrial, there are many opportunities to patent many solutions. In fact, SENER has been involved in. SENER is 70 years old. It's a 70 years old company. We started developing projects to build ships at the very beginning. Then we moved to industrial. Even we were involved in nuclear plants, any kind of industrial process. Then we arrived to civil engineering. This is metro lines, railway lines, airports, architecture. So there are many opportunities for the company to be involved in projects that are susceptible of being patented. In the case of architecture, architects are not familiar with this kind of process. One building can be protected from architectural point of view, but this protection could come from the city halls or the for example or the nations are symbols are icons. In this way these buildings are protected, but not from a document. It's just to say this is like Sydney Opera. It's impossible to touch that building, or the Colosseum in Rome. It's impossible. It's a symbol. It's a different story. But architecture in general is not patentable. Uh, but in this case, this is a product coming from the architectural department of the company, but at the end, it's just a product in this case. So, of course, from the very beginning of the project, we were very aware about patenting it because it's a, from our point of view, is different way to tackle this kind of project. Not, I don't know to say if it's revolutionary, but it opens the opportunity for many people, many stadiums in the world to be multifunctional. So we decided from the first day to go for each patent. In fact, we have developed different alternatives and configurations and other projects more or less related with it, and we decided to patent all of them.
That's very important. That's from the start. You start thinking about the patenting and the strategy, and is licensing part of your business strategy?
Yes, we are facing a very interesting product. We are developing a very interesting product. In fact, we have a very strong research and development program inside SENER. Uh, um, Most of these products coming from this research, this program, probably most of them are patented or will be patented. This is the strategy, of course, to protect all our knowledge.
I think it's very interesting that, of course, as an architect, you didn't perhaps know so much about intellectual property and its importance in design and engineering and all the different bits that come together to create a product like this one.
It was very interesting for me because it's a new world. I helped my colleagues. I was helped by my colleagues as well to develop this patent. Very interested to make this research to analyze the state of the art, what it has been done before, analyze what are the main benefits of our system, uh, make the description, which is very, from my point of view, very legal, or with these articles, not bad points, or definition of each part, these schemes, sketches, these. I like it a lot. It's a very long process. First submittal, then to have some comments, respond to that comments, then you decide which nations, where. It's a, in many ways, a tedious process because 2 years is too much to have a patent. But at the end, when you have the patent and you see your name and the name of your colleagues and the name of the product that you have been involved, it's very, very rewarding.
And what about trademarks? Because apart from patents, I must say that another intellectual property right that I think plays a big role here in order to market the product is the trademark. And I really love the name you chose, Hypogea, and what it means as well. Maybe you want to explain it.
But again, this is something that not very used in architecture. But in this case, since we are providing a specific product, we decide to go for a patent and decide to put a name. In fact, we spent probably more than 2 years to have the final name. we The name is coming. This is Hypogea. This is a name. In fact, we are pronouncing it like English way, but it's Hypogea, which is a Latin word coming from two Greek words. Hypo, the first one, which is hypo, which is under, which is like a hippopotamus, which is under the river. So hypo is under, and Gia is ground. My name Jorge comes with Gia. Hypogea at the end is like our underground saying. Okay, but Latin Romans use this name coming from Greek just to define this specific space located in the Colosseum, which is this cavern behind the arena, under the arena, sorry, with many mechanisms, with many traps, with many uses to give support to the events within this venue. we decided to use it is the single part of this word is hypogeum, and the plural is hypogea. We decided to go for the plural because there are different configurations of our system. So to collect all of them under one name, or to be all of them under one name or behind one name, we decided to go to hypogea in this case. And it's I think that it is very useful for the clients or the potential clients to say, okay, this is a product called Hypogea. Okay. In fact, we are calling it Hypogea by SENER, which is more common in our company.
Going more towards a personal question, what has been the biggest challenge you have to face up until this point of your career?
It's very difficult, you know. In fact, my biggest challenge is to continue searching for new projects like this because I love stadiums. I don't know why, because I don't like sports too much. And concerts, to continue pushing for this kind of projects. I think there are many ways to improve this building and to make these buildings more appealing for the people. Uh, this is not the venue for the NFL game or for football game. This is a public building at the service of the city. We need to think that these buildings are provided with the most up-to-date technology, okay, in lighting elements, in acoustics, in security, accessibility, everything. So they are the most technological buildings of today and are very well located, most of them, in the city centers or near the city centers. So we need to take advantage of them. And the other thing is that this kind of buildings has been like the Sydney Opera, okay, icons of the cities, but icons without use. So we need to change these
Yeah.
architectural icons into destinies. So this is my challenge for the next year. Okay, but I think that the the thinking of the people is changing in these last 5 to 10 years a lot worldwide.
Yes, definitely. And also, I must say that all these events at the end is about like people gathering and joy and excitement. And it doesn't matter if it's about a
Of
sport
course,
or it's about art.
even after the coronavirus,
Yeah, especially after the coronavirus.
What are you most proud of from your achievements?
the main reason to start architecture not only was to be involved in stadium projects, not only that, but one of the goals was this in this case. So around 20 years later, I had the chance to be involved in directly. I've been involved in previous process, but not directly. That was the first chance I had to being involved in a stadium project like this. And you consider I have to take into account that is Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, which is probably one of the most important stadiums in history. With probably I don't know Wembley Stadium in London, Maracanã in Brazil, Azteca in Mexico, and probably the fourth were the Santiago Bernabéu in Madrid, probably. So it was uh, wow for me. So I'm very proud of it, not only from myself but from the team we were involved. Even I'm not a Real Madrid fan, but I had colleagues that imagine that they were and they are Real Madrid fans. So they were living the dream, were touching the ground, were being there inside the stadium.
Making so many people jealous.
Yes, yes.
So here's a question that I like to ask architects and designers. So in this case, it's going to be obviously from your point of view of your area of interest in sports infrastructure. But how would you describe or how do you perceive the impact of design to improve or worsen people's lives?
It's a very difficult question. In this case, we can say that the intention of this system was to replicate the situation of Coliseum. This is a venue located in the city center. Okay, in this case, this location helps people to be there more easy, to reduce the use of cars, more connectivity using public transportation, make the life easy for the people around the stadium and the city. And I think that not only stadiums, airports, industrial buildings, from my point of view, should be multifunctional. From my point of view, it's opportunity to make the life better, to reduce the cost of the buildings, to reduce the use of land, uh, to reduce the impact, environmental impact. I think this is, from
Hmm.
my point of view, this is an opportunity. And this is one of the reasons behind our decision to go for this system. Last week, I was in a summit focused on stadiums in Kansas City, and if you know, most of the stadiums in the United States uh, have been designed outside the cities, around 30, 50 kilometers far from the city's center. And they are like UFOs in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by an ocean of car park. Okay, and many of the architects in that summit say, "I think that we were wrong." And the majority of the new stadiums, not only in the whole world but in the United States, this is a very specific market, are rethinking this. And this is a design decision, okay, to make not only a stadium, to make districts, to renovate the city centers, make the life easy, use more public transportation, and things like that.
Something that you mentioned really got my attention, which is how easy it is or difficult, in the case of the examples that you gave from the US, to get to these stadiums. In the Wembley Stadium, you can get there with the metro, with the underground system. I've been to the Brooklyn Nets stadium as well in New York, and you can get there with the metro. Of course, it's a mess. It's a lot of people going there. It, but then this is also part of the atmosphere of the event you're going. And to drive a car really far away from the stadium, you have to use means of transportation that are not so efficient. So I was wondering, what does it mean to be sustainable in your field?
Uh, Sustainability. It's a very good question. Uh, in the last year, this term is changing. It's not a matter of just saying, okay, we are going to build buildings environmentally friendly. No, it's not only that. This term concerns other things. In this case, a building, in this case, should be environmentally friendly, using a specific kind of materials, integrating MEPs or installations to collect energy from the sun, from the water, reuse of water, reuse of materials. But sustainability, it's uh, as well about culture, for example. Culture is you are providing a building that will be there for a long time and must be a sustainable culturally building. This is you put a building and this building must be understood by the people from today and the people of tomorrow. And the other thing is economically sustainable in time. Okay, and this is one of the reasons behind our system to make this building uh, economically sustainable. Okay, when you are designing probably one of the most or even the most important building of the city, we need to consider all these things.
I completely agree, and I think the aspect of efficiency is very, very important.
Look at the Arena Verona in Verona. I don't know if you know that amphitheater. So it was built before the Colosseum in the year 20. So it has been in use for the last 2,000 years. Okay, it cost a lot, at its moment. It was a very expensive building at its moment. But consider that this the icon of the city is still in use, has been used underused for the last 2,000 years, doing any kind of events from concerts, from battles, everything at the service of this is
Mm.
sustainable.
Yeah.
At least one of the parts, which is two of the parts, culturally, and the second one, which is economically sustainable.
We are reaching the end of the interview, I'm afraid, Jorge, but it's been a pleasure. And I have one last question for you. And this is what's in the future for you and for SENER? And if you have any projects that you would like to talk about.
So we are still pushing very hard for new projects. I think that the impact of the system at Santiago Bernabéu Stadium has been very huge. This system has opened the eyes for many other stadiums in the world and many owners around the world that had doubts before that stadium.
Mhm.
So in this moment, that many new stadiums worldwide are considering these kind of solutions. In this regard, we can say that we are now involved in potential opportunities to integrate systems
Mhm.
in these, not only systems to build up the whole stadium, including these kind of systems. Unfortunately, I need to say that the majority or all these stadiums are bound to uh, non-disclosures NDA agreement, so it's very difficult to say. But of course, our intention is to keep doing this kind of buildings, be involved in this kind of, and this one of the from the architectural department of SENER, making new products. This guy.
Well, we are looking forward to see more releases in the future and be like, oh, that's the secret project that Jorge couldn't tell us about.
I can say one thing. Think about surfing in the stadiums.
Ooh, that's
Ooh.
nice.
Okay, so that's all.
Thank you so much, Jorge, for having this lovely chat and telling us about Hypogea and SENER and your work and so many cool things.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much, Jorge.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to IP Stories by 4IP Council. Visit our website on 4ipcouncil.eu to find out more and check out the links mentioned during this episode. If you liked it, remember to share and subscribe.